Thank you for having me here tonight. My name is Michael McCarthy, and I am from Port Huron, Michigan, and I'm running for U.S. Congress, 10th District. I'm running because I feel that democracy is under threat. I read in the paper, I brought a clipping tonight about what happened with the attempt to put together a ballot proposal for taking care of the problem of all of the, this very district, the gerrymandering that has happened. Plenty of signatures, all certified. The person in charge of the committee also happened to be in charge of the Republican Party statewide. Just decides, I'm not going to have a meeting. Too bad. So what happens next? There's another meeting in 2 weeks, and in that meeting, wasn't on the agenda. So the will of the people is being directly thwarted, and we have a situation where even when you do one of the most democratic things you can do, which is go out person to person, talk to them about your candidacy, and get their signature on a petition just to get on the ballot. And I did that. It was a wonderful experience up in the Port Huron area and other places we went to. Actually, I was at Kroger's most of the time, and I think it's the arsenal of democracy. It's actually got a union there. We love to shop there, and the people would stop and we would talk, and I would get signed up. And I got on the ballot with more than twice the signatures necessary, and that is democracy. And going house to house, and going to Kiwanis and Lions and the various groups, that's democracy, and that's what I'm trying to do. But when I see the state government and the national government making this into a pay-to-play anti-democracy, it worries me a lot. And I have not previously run for elected office. I am a 33-year physician assistant, now retired. I've written on faith and politics in our local papers and in some of the Catholic and other national papers on faith and politics, because my belief is that if you believe in something, religious, humanitarian, then people should see it in what you do. And we're not getting that kind of example. We're not getting it certainly on the national level. And when Congress is acting as it is, that's a big problem. And when you're almost afraid, I stopped writing. I would write every month or more frequently in our local Times Herald. I stopped writing, and I had a blog, and I put something in every week, and I'd read the New York Times, and I'd read the Wall Street Journal even, because I want to get all perspectives and really know what's going on. And I've tried to do that for 50 years, ever since being in junior and high school, and reading about the decolonization of Africa and that nations became free there. I was reading that in Time magazine back then. I've kept up with international affairs. It's why I'm jumping into the 10th Congressional District and not going up through. Plus, I'm 70 years old. I don't got that much time left, maybe. But I still ride my bike instead of drive my car all over town. That helps keep me fit. And I recommend those kind of things to everybody. It's not the best, but I do a lot of wood stove and I call myself the urban forest cleaner, because I'll carry big logs even on the handlebars of my bicycle. Get them back to the house, cut them up, throw them in, and at least I've gotten my exercise, and I didn't have to pay for a gym. I just did it. Anyhow, my program is then, I was blessed when I was in high school and going on into college. I could go either to U of M or MSU, and I decided MSU because I thought that that was a little bit less of a high-powered, big-moneyed place to learn. I'd learn next to farmers. I'd learn situations that I wasn't familiar with. Then I got invited to work in migrant labor camps, I mean in the camps, with a Catholic project that was there in Capac, Michigan, which is in the heart of the thumb, in which just by some miracle I ended up back living in. I'm from Jackson, Michigan to start with. But being in the migrant camps and working, getting up at 5 in the morning and picking pickles and hoeing sugar beets and being made actually the recipient. It was supposed to be a church program, you help people out. But what I learned in doing that, and the kind of hospitality shown to me by Mexican-American migrant workers, changed my view of society. I'd grown up and went 13 years to Catholic, mostly white school, and it was the kind of experience I think we all need. We are a diverse society, but we don't rub up against each other. We don't work together in a close relationship very often. And our young people need that. My number one proposal is for universal national service, be it military, yes, but I want the Peace Corps and the AmeriCorps, which people have been sitting on that program for 50 years. It had its 50-year anniversary just a couple of years back. When Shriver and Kennedy put that together and said, ask not what your country can do for you, what you can do for your country, and now world, I would say. It was 4,000 to 7,000 to start up, 1961. It was envisioned within a number of years, a couple of years, to be 100,000. Right now, it remains 4,000 to 7,000. We don't invest in that. We don't ask our young people to do something. Well, I was just talking to a guy about, we're going to go up for a Habitat for Humanity project from my church and build a house up in Marquette, Michigan in the UP. My wife and I did this recently at the start. Right when my petition drive started, I was already scheduled to go to Guatemala to build a cement block house down there in a barrio. We did it anyhow. We still made the petitions. I believe if you have the right heart and you have the right desire, things will happen. And I want to see our young people learn that kind of lesson, and when they get out of doing service, be it military, be it AmeriCorps, be it Peace Corps, they will know a little bit more what they want to spend their time and their money on, what they're good at. If they went out with AmeriCorps and built trails with the National Forest, they'll know about it. If they worked in a medical clinic helping out as they could in the Southwest, they'll know that, and maybe they'll learn some Spanish, as I did, starting with that migrant experience. Going through my 33 years of being a PA, I could get jobs out in California in the migrant healthcare system. I think that kind of opportunity is our homeland security. Peace Corps could be the same thing. Let's say we know something about the culture and the languages. We're not just sending out people coated in Kevlar and military hardware. That is not the way to win hearts and minds. We need a peace force, a conflict resolution type force as big as the armed services, or at least the armed services is 2.2 million. We're talking 4,000 to 7,000 for the Peace Corps. When they get out of doing their service in the one kind or the other, then we take care of your student debt. You'd have to prorate it to some degree so that somebody who was multi-millionaire family didn't need it, but kind of a FAFSA type approach to get the right kind of money into people's pockets so that when the young people come out, they don't just think, wow, I've got to have the job that makes me the most money because look at it, it's going to take me $400 a month, plus I'm just getting started, da-da-da. No, that's not the way to invite our country to be stronger. And so working on those kind of things, and then to pay for it, always a problem, and my Republican comrades, I have a lot of friends in Fort Huron who are Republican, and I think it's going to take that kind of connectedness. But even Donald Trump, after this last budget, which he put together for about $1.2 trillion, and of which about $700 billion was the Pentagon, and the other, I think it was between 5 and 7, 500 billion is for the non-defense. He said, let's audit the Pentagon. Had never, ever been done. Trillions of dollars from MSU study have been wasted, and they could be redirected. They could be fixing our roads. They could be working for our education, paying for teachers' salaries, doing green energy. That's what we need, and that's what I'd like to try to do. And it's great to be invited down here, and I would ask anybody who has any interest in the things I'm talking about just to contact me, and I have some of my literature there, but also consider things like helping me know this area better. Port Huron's kind of in a different place, the blue water. And I'm putting up a lot of signs. They're coming in next week, the yard signs. So anything you can do to help, I'd very much appreciate. Thank you.